Some people watching this may feel like you have something to answer for. That this genre of TV you've helped make doesn't deter criminals or get to the bottom of their crimes. It just helps us enjoy it.
Chris Hansen is called to catch a predator.
We make TV and we point cameras at something and the trauma continues. What do you say to that?
A new film streaming now on Paramount Plus is called Predators. It explores the complicated legacy of Dateline's popular show To Catch a Predator, which lured suspected child predators onto a film set to be interviewed and then eventually arrested. The new film is a thought-provoking exploration of the fascinating rise and staggering fall of the show and the true crime genre that it helped create. WBZ's Chris Tanaka spoke with Emmy and Peabody Award-winning director David Osit to learn more about his new film.
Honored to be joined by the driving force behind it, a man who wears many hats, David Osit. David, thank you so much for joining us. Don't let me describe it. What is Predators all about?
Well, Predators is about unpacking the history and legacy of this show, To Catch a Predator, which was a segment on Dateline NBC in the 2000s that would set up hidden cameras in a sting house where men who were having online chats of a sexual nature with decoys pretending to be minors would then show up to the house, meet the decoys, and then a journalist named Chris Hansen would come out. He'd interview the men and then tell them they were free to go, all while hidden cameras were filming. And then they'd be arrested by law enforcement. The show was an absolute sensation, even though it only aired about 20 times. Everybody knew about it. People still know about it. People still watch the show. And my film's about unpacking that show's story and the people who were involved in it, but also how it went on to inspire a whole new generation of copycats.
The trailer for your film, absolutely gripping. What was the impetus for you to make this film?
I discovered the online fandom community of To Catch a Predator, which had been collecting raw footage from the show for nearly 2 decades, footage that had aired or had never aired. And watching that raw footage was very interesting to me. I remember having a emotional experience sometimes seeing, a man's life end in slow motion over 75 minutes. Regardless of what he'd done, it was just hard to watch. And I never really felt like the show was hard to watch when I watched it in college. In fact, I found the show funny when I watched it in college. But a lot changes. And the difference between watching the raw footage and watching the show was really compelling to me. I wanted to think, well, what is the difference between these two things? And why do I feel differently when I watch one versus the other? And so I started to think, well, maybe I could make a film that's about To Catch a Predator, but also about how shows like this can make us feel, how true crime can kind of explore this idea of there are good guys and bad guys, but sometimes we can block our empathy when it comes to how we feel about what we're seeing.
And what you just said there about blocking empathy, and you mentioned two different experiences, one from watching this slickly produced show to the actual creation of it, from law enforcement to the show's producers, etc. In filmmaking, making a documentary, I believe, is inherently different from aiming to get a blockbuster, right? The entirety of what you're doing isn't necessarily entertainment, but exploration of a topic, and entertainment or information is a byproduct thereof. Why is this film so important? Because it really was, To Catch a Predator was a cultural phenomenon, but there's a deeper importance beyond what you found in these online communities, which are certainly large but niche. Why so important? Why is it important for you to make this film?
I think it's kind of a simple answer, really. We all love true crime now. We didn't feel that way 20 years ago, necessarily. It wasn't as part of our lives as the way it is now. But true crime is like the predominant form of entertainment these days. And my theory really is that it starts with shows like this. And what are shows like this? It's really when you have law enforcement and journalism working together to create entertainment. And what happens when you have that kind of fusion? Could you sometimes imagine a world where sometimes it's more important to entertain somebody than it is to maybe protect a source or to make sure that someone's identity is secured or safe? What's the collateral damage of this type of entertainment? These are hard questions. They're not easy ones. And sometimes they're questions with no answers, but they're questions that we don't really ask because we've set up a kind of world where there's good guys and bad guys. And that's what true crime is so good at doing. And that's one of the things I wanted to interrogate a bit in the film. It's not about defending child predators or about making you feel bad for them. It's
Yeah.
about thinking about how do we treat people in our society.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's like a microscopic message that can really be expanded across our society. I do have to ask you this from a filmmaker standpoint, because you wear many hats in this film: director, producer, cinematographer, editor, if I'm correct, and there may be more. I always feel like the magic of screen creation happens when different forces behind the camera really share the same conceptualization of what they want their project to look like, feel like, to evoke. You are culling together all of these responsibilities. It's got to be a big pull.
Well, I definitely worked with a team, even
Yeah,
though I
sure.
had the primary hat on, and I worked with wonderful producers on this film, wonderful editors on this film. My job, I think, as the director, is to ask questions of myself, and to ask questions of my audience, and to ask questions of the people I interview. That's my job. And I just want to surround myself all the time with people who want to ask the same questions as I do.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you're very humble. Dan, you're extremely talented. David, thank you so much for lending some of your time. Again, Predators is streaming now on Paramount Plus. Incredible. I can't wait to watch it myself after seeing this trailer. Important film work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.